Griffith from Virginia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it greatly. I am pleased to see my bipartisan bill, H.R. 167, the Patient Access to Urgent Use Pharmacy Compounding Act, is included on today's list. This bill is intended to create a safe and efficient pathway for patient access to compounded medications when there is an urgent need or when there is a drug shortage. This bill has support from many members of this committee, especially my friend Representative Harshbarger, who is herself a compounding pharmacist. The bill uses 2020's successful temporary FDA guidance as a template to allow pharmacies and other approved entities to compound medications to respond to urgent use and drug shortages. During this temporary guidance, there were 0 adverse events reported from compounded drugs coming from 503A pharmacies. This bill would create a permanent path for 503A pharmacies to provide urgent use and shortage drugs to hospitals and physicians. It also expands the list of eligible drugs to be included to not just the FDA shortage list, but also the American Society of Health System Pharmacists shortage list, which is more local or regional. Now, I think this is important. Expanding the shortage definition to include the FDA's list of drug shortages and shortages identified by the ASHSP will help capture a wider breadth of drugs facing a shortage. This list is much more up-to-date and nimble than the FDA shortage list. The bill is not only important but also timely due to the tornado in July that damaged a Pfizer plant in North Carolina. The damages to that plant have caused some of their drugs to go on the shortage list, and this bill would help mitigate some of those shortages. I hope to see the bill move through the committee and it would step in the right direction. Now let me address questions that people have not yet verbalized, but I know are floating out there. How do we protect against another New England compounding company problem? As you all will recall, New England Compounding Company, frankly, was a criminal actor producing medications, sterile injectables or so-called sterile injectables, and they created in the process of being lax their own form of fungal meningitis, and it killed dozens of people, some in my district. And as a part of that, and as a result of that, this committee did oversight work and found out that both Massachusetts and the FDA had not done their job. We had a criminal actor who was not getting proper oversight by state or federal. We changed the laws. We brought more scrutiny on the compounding pharmacies. DQSA came into being. We can never completely protect society from a criminal actor. That's why we need our agencies to be prepared to step in. NECC was particularly problematic because the FDA, and Massachusetts came in and said, yeah, we messed up. FDA continued to think they didn't do anything wrong, and it troubled me at the time. But they did. Both the state of Ohio and the state of Colorado had warned them that there was a problem at NECC. They took no action. They wanted a nice, neat case if they were going to bring any action, all presented to them nicely in a box with a bow on it. That's not the way it works. I practice criminal defense work. That's not the way it works. You got to go in. Sometimes you have to take the chance. And I said at the time, and this is what our agencies need to do, and I think each of our witnesses would agree. If you see somebody who's creating a problem and you get warnings from the state of Ohio and the state of Colorado even banned them, you probably ought to take action, even if you end up not getting a conviction, but you save lives. And I gave the example of the officer on the street who sees somebody who swerves a little bit in the road. May not be a DUI, might be, but that person is headed to a crowded intersection. In the case of NECC, the FDA did not stop that actor who looked like they were doing something wrong. What the officer is supposed to do, like that with that potential drunk driver, stop them before they get to the point where they will cause deaths. Go in and investigate. If you find out that the person, was just fiddling around or not paying attention, then maybe you move on. But if you find there's a serious problem, you stop it before it happens. I believe that this bill, 167, will help us with drug shortages. I believe that we have taken substantial steps with our prior passing of the DQSA to prevent another NECC. But for those who want the world to be perfect, I cannot promise you that we won't have a criminal actor. I cannot promise you that the state agencies who are charged with overseeing medications brought into their states will do their job, and I cannot promise you that the FDA, once again, will not act negligently in not responding to state concerns. But it is a good bill, and I hope that we will pass it. I yield back.